Welcome to Season 12 of the Social Work Rants podcast, providing an inside look of the social work mental health profession, social work being political, the struggles of social work entrepreneurship, the intersectionality of mental health and finances as it relates to social work and society as a whole. Let's get it. Hope you enjoy. Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. You continue to follow the podcast on Instagram at the Social Work Rants podcast. That is all one word. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button, type in the Social Work Rants podcast, like, share videos, leave comments. On the audio side, leave a rating, leave comments, share episodes, download episodes. You leave a comment, I will respond. So let's connect. Let's chop it up in this wonderful, fascinating, and interesting field of social work. And I've mentioned numerous times on the podcast the beauty of LinkedIn and connecting, with folks, not necessarily social workers, but just LinkedIn is a great tool. I don't know what threads be talking about or what people be hating on LinkedIn, but it's been working out for me. And had the pleasure of connecting with this great social worker who I have on today, Kelecia Smith. How you doing?
Hello, Bass. How are you? And thank you for having me.
No, I'm doing good. One day at a time. How you doing?
Same. I at one point I used to say minute by minute.
That's real, especially this. 2020 is definitely late minute by minute.
Yes, yes.
I like your background. I definitely be on a beach similar to that in a few weeks. So looking forward to that.
Oh, lovely. I it's something just so calming about the water and especially your tropical beaches. I love it.
And I'll be in Puerto Rico again in a few weeks. I'm not going to enjoy the heat, but I'll
Oh,
be
wow.
I'll be enjoying not being in boring Delaware
Oh,
for a
what
week.
what part are you headed to?
Luquillo,
Oh, Luquillo.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I went there last year. I was like, we gotta go back. It's like everything's like that you need is like literally right there.
Oh, love it. Oh, have tons of fun.
I will. Yeah. So we talking about wellness and especially in times that we're currently in. It's important to stress the importance of wellness in our space and what we do because we all do hard work. Doesn't matter if you're meso, micro, direct practice, macro work. Like we all in it. We're being affected by everything that's been happening in one way or another. So it's important to really dive into our wellness and taking care of ourselves. So that's what we're going to do or try to do today.
Yes, hopefully, hopefully so. You talk about wellness and, you know, I always like to say sometimes we have to unplug to plug back in fully and be our whole selves. Because the work that we do, we are constantly taking on people are carrying things that are heavy, and
Mm-hmm.
we take all of that on and help them navigate, come up with solutions. And in some cases, we are their space of wellness, their space of trust. So yes, it's good to unplug sometimes.
No,
Um,
no, absolutely. And just finding that balance of wellness and unplugging and like you said, plugging back in. Is important. And the saying goes, "You can't pour from an empty cup." So it's definitely important to tune in, tap in within yourselves, so that you could tap into others.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was interesting. I was looking at in 2024, Harvard Business Review actually published some information about workplace well-being programs,
Mm,
right? And the outcomes. And I noticed that they posited that the very programs that were meant to address, you know, mental health and workplace well-being and people's burnout rates, well, mental health needs and burnout um, kept going up. So what's really happening, right?
hmm.
And they also projected that by 2026, the year that I think we're sitting in 2026 right now,
Yes.
it'll come to a close and fast enough, right?
Yeah.
But the global corporate spending on programs is set to go to about $94.6 billion,
Ooh.
somewhere in that range. And we think about, well, if these places have these programs, these supports, these resources in place, why let's think about our own field, right?
Mm,
Why are we still burning out? Why, like Harvard Business Review stated, why is mental health still escalating, the needs still escalating among the workers? Um, so I think about well-being programming, for example, some clinical disciplines, universities, residency programs in medicine, they actually have requirements, accreditation requirements that require your program to have well-being programs in place.
mm,
And you think about that and you say, well, how many people are actually using it? Is there a stigma attached to reaching out, for the employees and the staff of the various entities? Are they afraid to seek, these programs? And the other thing you might ask across the generations that are in the workplaces,
mm.
you have some generations, they will tell you, no, I do not want to go to you guys with you guys anywhere after 6 p.m. I want to go home. That's not my
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not my idea of wellness. I don't want to hang out at the bar. I don't want to do this. I want to go home, right? And sometimes I wonder, what the idea is about wellness, particularly for the folks who are developing the programs. What does wellness look like and sound like? And the very people who have to use, certain aspects of your well-being programming. Were they polled? Did they get to weigh in before we went and started writing up all these wonderful programs and dumping the company's dollars into the luncheons, the meet and greets, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but, sometimes also you think like you talk about you'll be in the islands in a couple of weeks.
Mm,
You know, Let's think about well being for a second in that. Yes, you'll be in the islands. That's great. That's your way of your sense of unplugging, disconnecting to be your best self. But you're going to come back here at a point to build your leave back up.
Exactly.
So, it's like, okay, well being, you have some programs that they've gone into a space called unlimited PTO.
Hmm.
Like we don't care what you take it for, where you go, what you do, just please take care of you first. You have some other area workplaces that you may have a 3-day work week or completely flexible scheduling. So we can talk about so many different aspects of workplace well-being, right? What is your biggest, like what do you think your biggest thought, your biggest barrier like in your workplace in terms of well-being programming?
Oh man. Um, so my organization is in Florida, Delaware, PA, and I'm not sure Maryland, and I'm not in Jersey. So obviously we're dealing with different states. They each do their different things. Florida is a completely different beast. Um, Even like within Delaware, like I'm in the north part, which is way more progressive than the southern part of Delaware. So just with even the states, like is like trying to come up with like a well-being program, like they're the agency does offer support, and they partner with other organizations, but in terms of providing mental health support. But it's and even like I work in a primary care office, and we have multiple primary care offices. So even the different within the different offices, even within the same state or a different state, does things differently too. So it's kind of hard to like kind of pinpoint. It's not a one size fit all type of situation. But I love the fact that you bring up the Harvard Business Review. I would love to actually read the article because I'm actually trying to come up with my own wellness program to reach out to nonprofit and corporate you know executives, as well as part of my business. So doing another pivot with my business to read
Awesome.
to do that. And I guess part of that also, part of the burnout, which I'm focusing on, is the 63 million Americans who are uh, caregiving in the United States, and then many of many folks are juggling work and caregiving responsibilities, and either they're taking time off from work, like their productivity is being reduced because they gotta like either leave early for work to do some type of caregiving, whether it be for adults or a child, a child with complex medical needs, or literally just I'm calling out today. Got emergency. I gotta take mine to the doctor's appointment, or I gotta do this. So it's like having those type of conversations, like what are you doing to addressing the burnout and retention issues in the workplace as a result of caregiving.
I'm with you when you start talking about caregiving and that balance and that just what does it look like? How do you now work and be a caregiver and still be your whole self,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to show up fully. When you're a caregiver, you have to show up fully for that loved one or person you're providing direct care for. And you also have to show up fully for work. Now, okay, are we two people all of a sudden? Like, I mean, where do you find that balance in both worlds? I remember when I was taking care of my late mother,
Mm-hmm.
um, that was one of the career pivots that, I had to make. You know, Thankful for a supportive family, supportive siblings, and, just having to make that decision because I was in a geographical space that really either that balance was, I don't want to say it did not really exist, but for someone who has multiple comorbidities and just goes into a space of needing full time care,
Mm-hmm.
what workplace? Like,
Exactly.
let's just have this real conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are so many families who, to this point in my career, there's so many people who are like, oh, well, I am taking care of my mother. I'm taking care of, you know, um, other family members and loved ones. There are those heavy days. And
Yeah.
I'm sure if you take a poll, it's like, okay, yeah, well, there's also a deep down a an apprehension. Well, how do I deal with my employer? How do I deal with my, you know, work? How do I tell my,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
If you tell them, you
yep,
might be able to space where like if you say something like
absolutely. There's that side too, right? You know, there's and I've encountered those like, hey, just so you'll know, yeah, I'm sleepy because, I'm up all night, and I go from being up all night and I come to work. I've heard so many stories, even families who, or parents who, they may have a sick child in the hospital. So they're trying to be at the bedside with the child and come to work, and it's a lot. And sometimes it comes to that, we say that critical decision, what do I do?
mm-hmm.
But I think for the work you and I do, the bigger piece is, tapping into that advocacy aspect, of our work. You know, how do we get work from the policy level, the broader organizational level? Um, what do we do? What does the public see? Those of
Mm-hmm.
us who have experienced or are experiencing that true walk through caregiving. And because caregiving, you 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 can burn out as well. And
Absolutely.
caregiver burnout, that's some real burnout to have to navigate
Mm-hmm.
when we're talking about burnout. And in some aspects of it, you may be dealing with end of life issues with the
Mm-hmm.
person you're taking care of. And here's the thing, the workspaces and places have the expectation the individual shows up fully.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what that employee is carrying when they walk through the door.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, in our field, it says meet the person where you are. For the companies and organizations, okay, how are you meeting each individual where they
Where
are?
they are, right?
Like the work, the well-being programs and policies, those are great. Wonderful. Thank you for trying, right? We can check the box. However, let's go back to Harvard's review a couple of years ago. Well, you these programs were meant to address the burnout and mental health needs. Well, they still seem to be going up.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of work I feel is still to be done. And I think for us in the field that we're in, working with the different companies, corporate entities, and just showing, hey, do you even know what burnout really looks like? What are the signs of burnout? How do you now manage teams, for example? How are you giving them a safe space to be their best selves? Yes, your policies are in place. Yes, you have, it's free Starbucks day, But for some folks, the last thing they need is a night at the bar mingling with the team or Starbucks. It's deeper than that.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Um, just let you kind of led into my next question was let people know what you do in our space.
Wow, what I do in my space, our space rather.
Yeah.
So I started off macro, and I was working I came through the field graduate medical education, teaching hospitals, oversight for accreditation requirements for residency and fellowship training programs. Um, that's called graduate medical education. And that was more macro social work, right? For
Mm-hmm.
us, Bass, and then pivoted to the direct practice. I took a dive head first as a contractor for outpatient mental health and private practice. And so I have had the pleasure of working with clients from children to late adulthood. So now I'm in that direct space. So when we start now talking about clinician well-being,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's just another aspect of I guess my passion space. Like, hey, how am I able to still, show up whole? We in our world, um, we deal with the burnout, the compassion fatigue, the secondary trauma, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but keeping balance, and also being in that space. I feel like us as clinicians doing the direct practice, be conscious and cautious as to the type of setting, because some settings, as you mentioned hospital,
Mm-hmm.
clinic, the volume gets to be heavy, right? You might have to see 25, 35 people, in your caseload, and you must hit those targets
Right.
each week. And for each one of those people, let's talk about when we talk about well being, we also need to remember here's a term, and hopefully no one's offended by this, but okay, whatever. Um, administrative burden.
Mm,
There is a level of administrative burden that we have to balance as clinicians. For each person, how long do you think it takes to do a note, or just, and just keeping in mind, you know, a workflow that's manageable, doable, so that we don't burn out.
yeah. Yeah. You mentioned, the whole work, administrative work. I mean, even talking to like insurance companies to, if you're doing that, no, I need more sessions approved for my client, and this is why, and giving documentation. If people still fax stuff, I don't know if that's being digitized or not. I haven't done therapy in a long time, but I remember having calling insurances and then faxing the documentation over, like with the notes. This is why my patient needs more sessions, and you try to get those approvals. And so it's just doing the paperwork and seeing clients. And you mentioned, administration. I worked at an agency. They're like, oh, we changing the times from seeing patients like 45 minutes now. We could see patients like 30 minutes, and you can be seeing patients back to back to back. I'm like back to back to back. What about my lunchtime? Because I know for me, I don't starve for nobody, not even for my own kids. So it's like I'm taking my lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, and you think about it, it's like, okay, are we modeling the very behaviors we are wanting our clients to practice? We're giving you these recommendations, right? And we're teaching you how to not burn out. But here we are on the other side of the desk, you know, skip lunch, sleep deprived in some cases,
Hmm.
dehydrated.
Yes.
you know, um, like, how are we modeling, and what type of structure has the organization put in place so that the clinicians can show up their best selves? The workers can show up their best selves. So just some thoughts, I mean, like I said, the policies are there, the programs are there, but when are they utilized? How are they utilized? Are they even utilized?
Right.
And we're talking beyond, here I go again, not sounding like I'm bashing the free Starbucks and, the meetups for happy hour, but it gets a little deeper than that when you start going into that, just the human side.
Hmm.
Goes a little bit deeper.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. And even like changing with the times of society, or even like changing the policies to meet the moment of what is actually happening in real time. Obviously, we've been like we live in a society where like you like open an app, open like Instagram or something like that, or at least the last 6 years, and you literally like traumatized. You're seeing something that makes you traumatized even before you leave your house, before you go, you know, get ready to go to work. We, people drive horribly nowadays, so it's like by the time you get to work, you're already like annoyed and upset that you almost got into an accident. Like, and then you got to deal with your clients. You got to deal with coworkers. And let's be real, that you might work at a space that you don't even like your coworkers. Like, don't invite me to happy hour. I'm not sitting with you during lunch. Like, I'm here to work, see my clients, get my check, and on the time time to leave, I'm gonna leave. Like, leave me alone. Or
You know,
or
it,
be
it
or be in working spaces where like you have to participate and you talking about being on and like I don't not in the mood to talk. I don't I just here to be in the meeting like Marshawn Lynch. She said, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So
and there's, I have a friend who just the other day was saying to me, say, well, I cannot believe I left my house. I sat in over 2 hours of traffic in the morning, just going into work. And she said, well, I had to be there to log on to the Teams meeting. She said, I burned up my gas,
hmm
sat in over 2 hours of traffic. And she said, everyone was in their spaces, logged into Teams because the return to work, just that they all now have to be there, even if it's for, you know, a few hours. They try to be relaxed with it, but she said, well, for me, it makes no sense because it does not matter. The commute was for that individual was 2 hours each way
mm,
because of traffic. Um, and they have to get a little one, from daycare at a
right.
certain hour.
hmm
And if they're late,
They get charged.
yes, yes. And she said, she said, I'm tired of the aftercare bill. So here we are. This might be an employee that will not be there in a few months or weeks,
hmm
right? Because the burden to be present, you know, it's just too much. And she said, I'm not well. I am not well because I'm always rushing, always in a hurry,
hmm
always on the go. Even once you get to work, their amount of work that was being done was minimal because now you're in the office. People haven't seen you. So when they come off the teams, now people are wanting to talk, you
Exactly.
know? And it's like, okay, I just came in the kitchen to, you know, make a cup of tea to go back and finish some work. But, she said, no, everyone is hanging out, congregating because they have not seen each other,
hmm
but they want them in the office. And she
Yeah.
said, now
That's
I'm up, all night trying to get the work finished.
yeah, and it's like it's not my fault that the company paying this rent to for me to come in and it's like COVID proof like okay productivity like didn't fall off like why I'm driving 2 hours
Mhm.
to be log on the Teams just give me a computer and I just work from home to do that
Yep, yep.
and still give you my time.
Yeah, there was a team, um, a company in out in California, that they recognized that during the pandemic, the lockdown, the productivity went up, it increased because people were able to work within their own time frames. The projects were getting done before, before the deadline, and they really maximized the efficiencies that came out of that
Mm-hmm.
setup. And they were like, okay, well, that team definitely does not need to come back into the office. Keep them all remote, you know. And the company was able to save money by downsizing their physical spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So they got rid of a lot of real estate and went from like multiple offices across in different parts of the state to just one or two like main offices. So that's one, just an example.
Mm-hmm.
How did they address well-being? let people stay at home.
Exactly. It's like it's do Teams, Zoom calls, whatever it is, meetings like this. There's no point of like coming in. That's what I hated about doing the workforce development when I worked in the school system. Like come in, like the kids are off, and it's like come into school to be on Zoom like all day. I was like, well, I could have done this at home. Like we're wasting my gas coming in. Like I'm not really gonna interact with anybody because I'm doing these trainings and my trainings are different than the teacher's trainings. So it's like we're not even sitting on the same training. So why you got me coming in the building?
Yeah.
I think that's part of like what I want to do as well as part of like the coaching that I want to do and try to set that up is explain like you know the or your policies like addressing this that like can it be flexible to provide a flexible schedule like hey if depending on your workflows if it could be done computer or whatever at home compared to in the office like if the work's getting done like the work is getting done like what you're you're increasing the worker morale by offering that type of flexibility that and the worker is going to appreciate and might stay there a little bit longer. So it's like it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes. Yes. And you mentioned something also that speaks to wellness in the workspace. That, what was that M word? Morale.
Mm-hmm.
If your morale is good in the workplace, well, okay, well, let's look at what those workspaces are doing in terms of well-being. Like some companies might tell you, oh, we have a remote and flexible first policy. If you want to come in, you can come in. But I think that's what you and I do sometimes that, in the wonderful world of direct practice,
Mm-hmm.
remote may or may not, depending on where you're doing the work. For example, if you're a hospital social worker, you got to go in, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so the wellness in that space might look and be a little bit different, you know. Um, and definitely for your high volume, like your clinics, like your outpatient centers that you're glued to your screen, or your office where you may have some clients virtual, some clients in person. um you know that well-being practice and policies will look different as well.
Right.
um so I think it's a matter, we're in a space where you know organizations read the room. What are your key stakeholders, meaning your workers, saying? What are they wanting? What helps them show up fully? What helps them help you meet your bottom line? Um, so it's one of those things where when you're writing these policies and programs, ask them. You may not like the answers you
Yeah.
get in some cases, because some people might say, okay, more money, more dollars, um, which is another aspect of well-being, that
Of course.
financial aspect. So there's so many different ways to look at well-being beyond just the programs and the policies. Um, some people need more time, flexible,
Mm-hmm.
they call it flexi time in some places.
Right. Or flex
Unlimited,
time. Right.
yeah, unlimited PTO. What every Monday with half days Friday, or, some places will do birthdays off, you know. And one of my former colleagues used to say, I take my birthday off anyway. So, what's the point? You know, um, so, some of them is like, okay, don't blindly make the policies or the rules for wellness. And some disciplines, we start talking about well-being. You got to think about what are the working hours when we start talking about nurses and doctors.
Hmm.
Well, some of them are working all night,
Yeah.
around the clock, or 310s, or, I'm sorry, 312s, or
Hmm.
410s. So you just start digging a little deeper, thinking a little further than the box, or assuming within a certain box. Um, have those frank conversations,
Yeah.
from the person at that main desk that's greeting people as they are entering your doors, to the person in the back office that's doing the billing, the person that's even the team that comes in to clean your building.
Yeah.
Take into consideration what they have to say.
No, absolutely. Um, what are what are ways that you decompress, and I don't want to say no practice self-care because that's like such an overused buzzword, but what do you do for you that your cup is full so that you could do what you need to do for the
Oh,
people that you
wow.
serve?
I I really enjoy like here we go. Tea, different types of tea. Um that's one thing. Like when I get home, the first thing I might do is maybe turn light a candle, play with the dogs. My family is such a core part of my just whole health, me being fully present. Family and dear friends, that is my well space. If they're well, I'm well. And of course, getting out of town every now and then. Not being in um and on all the time, trying to
Hmm.
curate a schedule that makes sense. Um, yes, but definitely I love my connection with people, my pets, my family. Those are my decompress my ways that I'm able to decompress. And of course, a nice beach every every now and then. A beach
No,
with a
that,
palm tree. Not our East Coast beaches, Bass. More like the one like you're going to, right?
yeah, definitely not a lot of these East Coast, especially like in the northeast.
Don't get us daggered, Bass. Please don't. But no, also reading. I like to read books. I When I have time,
Mhm.
that's one of my passions that unfortunately I got out of it, but I it's something I do love to do. Um, and I call myself a novice gardener. So,
Okay.
so just getting into gardening and planting flowers, and you know, being outside definitely centers and grounds me. I can completely decompress by being outside.
No, I like. I mean, I gotta cut my grass too because I have to. But like, I find like like a sense of calmness and like just walking back and forth. I get my steps in, like making sure like, oh man, I gotta go cut and because this is gonna rain like the next day, and then I'm not gonna be able to cut this grass and it's gonna grow, and like I'm always fighting with the grass, like stop growing so fast. But there's a calmness in terms of cutting my grass at least once a week or once every other week. So
Oh, yes, there is definitely, I call it the natural vitamin D.
mm.
Mm, yeah.
Where can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
Well, definitely LinkedIn, Kelecia D. Smith. You can reach me there. Um, and I wasn't smart enough to pull the link up, Bass, but you can definitely reach me there.
Okay.
Always happy to, um, always happy to connect to others in the field and otherwise. I truly believe in that interdisciplinary space.
Hmm.
In our field, we need all of the disciplines,
No,
right?
absolutely.
Our clients, the organizations we work in, are definitely are they definitely need those resources. So
Mm.
just making connections. That's another way I keep my wellness going. Making connections, meeting new people.
No, it is important. And going to spaces that we're not traditionally in, because you get to definitely see a different perspective.
Yes, yes,
Well, awesome. It was
absolutely.
a great conversation, and we'll stay connected through LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. We should and would love to, we can pick each other's brains on
Absolutely.
this whole space of wellness. I feel like there's so many aspects of that topic that we did not touch on. An hour
Hmm.
is not gonna
No, not at all.
do it justice, but definitely. And for everyone out there listening, stay true to yourself, stay hydrated. Um, and you may or may not be a gym person, but do something, move if you can, each day. So, yeah,
Awesome.
yes. So thank you so much.